Well, a technology summit is being planned for this April in Regina called Saskatchewan 3.0. The idea is to get business, government, and education tied together using digital and social technology. Grant Bastedo is one of the organizers, and he joins me now to talk about why he thinks this will help sustain the province's economy. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
So what is this all about? If you could put it in a line or two, what's this summit all about?
Right. Well, I think the goal of the summit is really to accelerate the adoption of digital technology and social technologies in Saskatchewan. So bringing together the education sector, the public sector, the private sector, bringing them together to see what the possibilities are in the rest of the world.
So are we lagging?
I think we are a little bit. It depends on who you compare us against, right? In Canada, I think we're lagging a little bit in Canada. We're lagging probably in comparison to the United States or the UK.
Okay, and what does that actually mean? Where are the holes? If we are lagging, where do you see those holes?
Well, there's a whole bunch of different things that we probably lag a little bit behind in, and those are all things that people are working on right now, but we started too late. So, for example, ISC is working on the Saskatchewan Business Portal, and that was something that I was a part of.
ISC again being?
Information Services Corporation, the Crown, and responsible for the Land Registry and Business Registry in Saskatchewan. We're bringing business services online and providing those things. Also, citizen services online, we're lagging there.
What kinds of things?
Being able to get pretty much any kind of service that you're looking for online. If you look at other jurisdictions, 98% of their services would be available online. And in Saskatchewan, you would, you'd likely have to either phone or fax or,
Well, what's an example of a kind of service that somewhere else you would just automatically get it online and here you can't? Can you think of some examples?
Well, permitting and licensing and things like that. So the example when we were doing the Business Portal project, for example, you go out and look at putting an oil well in Saskatchewan. How many different places would you have to go to get permits and licenses and approvals to do that? And you'd have to go to each one of those places, and every one of them would have a different process. Some of them would take Visa. Some of them you'd have to pay with check. Some of them you could do online. Some of them you'd have to fax in the form. And so it was a really inconsistent, poor customer experience. So what we're looking to try to do with all of these sorts of things is bring them all together in one place and serve them up so that there's a good customer experience.
Business leaders expect better in 2012, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so what we expect is exactly what you would get in the private sector, from the public sector and from education and things like that, and that experience isn't there yet. And so how do we get there is the question.
And this is spurred by the fact that the economy is booming right now, and questions about whether we're keeping up in that part of.
Well, yeah, I think it's about sustaining our current economy the way that it is, and it's not sustainable if we don't keep up with the rest of the world. And I think we could easily just become the place that delivers raw materials and doesn't actually do the rest of, doesn't have the head offices and everything. And I think Saskatchewan is trending towards, having head offices and having a technology sector and having research and all of that kind of stuff. And if we don't have the infrastructure and the support of technology, we're not going to get where we want to be.
And I know you're talking about other parts of the world that are a good example. Can you pick one and give me some ways in which they are modeling, a great way of doing things?
Right. Well, the one person that I got to spend some time with was this Dr. Nicholas Gruen from Australia, and he ran what was called the Government 2.0 Task Force, 2009. And what they did was they developed a digital strategy for Australia where they first off started with something very similar to what we're talking about here, and bringing together a whole diverse group of technical and non-technical people to come together to say what did they really want to accomplish. And then they went out and looked at what are the key areas that they want to focus on. And once they were able to establish those key areas, then they went out and had task forces that went out and really dove into those things. So they talked about things like open data, for example, where governments are opening up their data sets to business and to the public to use as they wish. And it's scary because people go, oh, private information. It's not private.
But is that a technological issue or just a transparency issue?
It's a transparency issue, but it's also a technology issue. So it's providing those things in a way that they're usable to people and that they can use those things to create economic benefit. So when you look at different data sets that the government has, for example, health inspections. How many people know what's a restaurant that's had a health inspection or anything like that? Well, all that data is available, and why wouldn't we know that? And if you could put it on something like one of the restaurant critique sites, and you knew that, oh, by the way, that restaurant has a C rating and you might not want to eat there, why wouldn't we know that stuff? And that information is available.
Okay.
So,
Thanks so much for coming in. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again as you get a bit closer to your conference. Great. That's Grant Bastedo, organizer of the upcoming Saskatchewan 3.0 Summit this April in Regina.